Coming in YouTube, getting ready to start my show called Jimmy Rants over on Instagram. And I love Fridays because on Fridays it's pretty much a free-for-all. You guys get to tell me what to talk about. So we do an Ask Me Anything on Fridays, and so when the time comes, you guys, don't let me down. Come in, ask your questions, get them ready already. Go ahead and start getting your questions ready for me for this Ask Me Anything. What's up, Norma? What's up, Dina? Thank you guys for being here today. So yeah, we're going to start my show, Jimmy Rants, over on Instagram. Fridays is when I open the floor to you guys, pretty much whatever you want to ask me. So literally go ahead and get your questions ready to go. What's up, Frank? Thanks for being here. So go ahead and write your questions down there in the comment section. Feel free to share this everywhere. Friday is like one of my more popular days with the traffic when I post it over on YouTube. That typically is one of the biggest videos I do the whole week. So I guess people like the whole open format of asking anything. And I love that format as well. Yo, 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 Frank says. What's up, Hank? Thanks for being here. All right. So let's get this show on the road. I have some really great articles at the beginning you're going to love. I got a whole stack of some really cool things to talk about. And then we'll go to your questions. So if you're ready, here we go. It's Ask Me Anything time. So come on in, guys. Ask me anything. Click on that little box down there in the corner. You'll get to see this straight there on IGTV for today's episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. And as always, you can engage live in the content, but you got to go follow me. I'm over on Instagram. I'm at Living Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, engage live, just like all the beautiful people coming in right now. Thank you guys for being here today. You can also watch me, and I also simulcast over on my personal Facebook page. So thank you guys for being here today as well. I also appreciate all my YouTubers on the live stream. I think I saw somebody just come in. Yes, Deb in Vegas says hello. So Deb, thanks for being here today. Thank you everybody for being here today on Jimmy Rants. If you missed the live, you can watch it on replay on IGTV. We also put the past episodes up over there on YouTube. So just type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants, you'll find it there. And then if you like what we do here and you want to go to the official website, it is jimmyrants.com. Go see all the past episodes there. But you can help me out if you get value out of this show. Definitely throw some value back my way. Click on that Patreon link, and really any amount would be greatly appreciated. So guys, it's Friday, and you know what that means. On Fridays, I do Ask Me Anything. All week long, I do all kind of targeted episodes where I talk about some specific topic or article or study. Well, today is the one day of the week that you get to basically dictate what I talk about here. So if you've got a question for me, fire away. I can definitely answer pretty much any question on keto, fasting, cholesterol, book writing, podcasting, what it's like being famous online, or you can ask anything personal of me. I'm cool with that as well. So fire away, get your questions ready. As my tradition goes, I have a few little articles that I have pulled first, and we will go over those. And I have a few questions that came in ahead of time, so we'll hit those as well. But get ready. I'm going to come to your questions, so start putting them in there. But let's take a look at some of these articles I printed out. Microchips. Have you heard of these? Have you heard they're going to try to put them in humans? Oh yeah. But thankfully there are some states that are saying, no way, Jose, you're not doing that without the consent of people. It's not a mainstream practice yet, but some companies are starting to force workers to put microchips implanted into their fingers to replace the little building badge. They're radio frequency identity chips that biohackers have long embraced to push the limits of their bodies. And now the Michigan House of Representatives have taken a preventative measure against the technology, and they passed a bill late last month to make it voluntary. Well, the thing is, I wonder what's going to happen when they start maybe mandating that microchips go in us some way. And of course, I've heard the conspiracy theories that if you take the vaccine for COVID-19, that they're throwing a microchip in there that they will then be able to track your body temperature and da 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 da. I don't know, but I just thought you'd find that interesting. A lot of states are kind of hedging that already by saying, well, if you're going to try to put microchips in people, you better darn well let them know before you just do that. So I thought that was interesting. Did you hear about all these people that are having the COVID parties, all these young people? Apparently somebody has COVID-19 and then they go and have a party with this person. I know it doesn't make any sense, does it? But Airbnb is now doing something about it. I want to know what you think about it. They're going to ban some younger U.S. guests from booking homes in their area as part of the effort to crack down on these parties. They said if you're under the age of 25 and you have fewer than 3 positive Airbnb reviews, you won't be allowed to do a booking. Now, is that discrimination? Like, when I read this, I went, well, wait a minute. So they're telling you if you're under 25 and you don't have 3 positive Airbnb reviews yet, you can't book. And it's close to your home, you can't book it. To me, that seemed kind of weird. I was like, okay, they're opening themselves up for a lawsuit. And thankfully, they do it by age. Could you imagine if they said, oh, if you are an African American under the age of 25 with 3 or less positive review, could you see how bad that would get really fast? Dr. Fauci, good old Dr. Fauci. There's his, bless his heart. There's his face, all covered up. Did you see the video that went viral this week where he's doing a news conference and he's got the face mask on, and as soon as he thinks the camera is off, he rips that thing off so fast it's not even funny. And so he now is speaking out about the coronavirus mutating so that it becomes more and more infectious. And he says research is underway confirming the mutation, but there's little dispute about it. He's got the hardest job to try to help understand what's going on with this virus, but I wish he would just shut his mouth until he knew something. That's the thing that frustrates me about Dr. Fauci. He's supposedly the world's foremost infectious disease doctor in the world. And here he is continuing to open his mouth about things. And in fact, if you didn't see Rand Paul, when Dr. Fauci came on Capitol Hill to kind of give an update and everything, Rand Paul tore him a new one. Go look it up on YouTube, you guys. I watched that this week, and regardless of your political bent, Rand Paul pretty much took it to Dr. Fauci and said, hey, look, when you send mixed messages to people and when you make statements in the media that causes fear and panic and confusion, can you see how that would be a bad thing? So this is yet another one. Oh, it's going to be a lot more infectious. It's mutating. We need to make sure we keep up with the mutations and da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Is that adding any kind of clarity to the situation? No. It's just adding more and more fear. And I don't know about you, most people are at their wits' end with the fear right now. Speaking of fear, they did a poll looking at how likely parents are to send their kids back to school this fall. And most Americans expect their schools to reopen. 2 out of 3 parents say they're likely to send their kids back. It was a Rasmussen poll that found 64% of American adults think it's likely schools in their community will reopen, although 23% of those people thought it was very likely. 27% though say local school reopenings are unlikely, and 6% saying not at all likely. So that's an interesting, they did a survey of 1,000 American adults from June 25th to 28th. And yeah, they just wanted to put that out there that, okay, people are believing that school's gonna reopen, but then check this out. If schools don't reopen, I got another story, parents are torn. And I'm so glad I'm not a parent in the age of COVID-19, because right now, you got to make a choice. Are you going to try to maintain your job Or are you going to try to educate your kids this fall in case there's no school? With as little as a month before school starts in some areas, and COVID-19 still out there, the situation isn't just untenable, it's impossible, with parents having to choose between their jobs and their kids. After word reached parents in New York City that the Department of Education was considering a hybrid plan for reopening schools that would allow students at school for part of the week, they said that this was an impossible thing on parents because they have to decide, how do I both work to bring home money to support my family and make sure my kids getting educated? Because if they're not home, how are they getting educated when they're at home? You see, it's putting a lot of you guys that watch Jimmy Rants, it's putting you in a bad position to try to figure out, okay, I both work and my kids need to go to school. Now what do I do? So I thought that was really, really fascinating that parents are already starting to come to terms with what that's going to mean here in a couple months. Alrighty, let's see what else we have. Oh, remember on Jimmy Rants, it might have been last Friday, it might have been 2 Fridays, they all run together after a while. But I told you about the stockpile of 50 million doses of this hydroxychloroquine, that they had stockpiled it because it was first approved by the FDA to be able to use with patients with COVID-19. And then days after they did this big stockpile of 50 million doses, no, you can't use it for COVID-19. Well, guess what? Study finds hydroxychloroquine helps coronavirus patients survive much better. That's right. It's back on. And they have found that the patients who got hydroxychloroquine within the first 24 hours of admission survived. Even those within the first 48 hours of admission had a higher survival rate than those who did not. Big, big, big. And so I wish they get their act together with this hydroxychloroquine. It seems to be giving benefit, and yet all you hear is, no, we're waiting on the vaccine. So, okay, well, the vaccine won't be here for a while, and it's iffy if most people will take it. Why don't we try this? These people are going to go on a ventilator and probably die. Why not do something to try to help those people? It's interesting. So remember when I did a Jimmy Rants about a month ago about this whole contact tracing, that if you have COVID-19 and you've got this little app on your phone, the app will then let you know who you were close to, and so then they try to contact those people to say, hey, look, you were exposed to someone who had COVID-19, you need to quarantine for 2 weeks. Well, guess what? They're already issuing subpoenas to people that are refusing to talk to these contact tracers. It's getting real, you guys. And if you haven't already done it and you don't want it on your phone, go into the settings in your phone, go under the health app on the iPhone. There's a health app, and in health app you can unsubscribe from the COVID-19 contact tracing. I'm not sure how you do it on Android, but you should be able to Google it and find out how to unsubscribe if you don't want that. But they're really getting serious, you guys, and they're getting to the point here. This is in New York State, where they are sending in law enforcement to force you to comply. And if you don't respond to a contact tracer, they are going to charge you $2,000 a day in this New York County. I thought that was kind of, whoa, like, I thought it was voluntary whether you participated or not. Anyway, okay. I think that was all I had for interesting news articles that weren't worth a whole rant, but definitely worth a little miniature rant here at the beginning of Ask Me Anything. If you just joined us, we are doing Ask Me Anything. So literally, this is your chance to ask literally any question you want of me. We got a full hour here to commiserate. So please ask your questions below. Get those ready, you guys. And when it's time for me to come to you, I will get to your question. But we did have a few questions come in ahead of time, so let me get to that. This is a cool one. I hear olive and avocado oil found in the stores is cut with seed oils. Is this true, and how do you know? Great question. It's something I've actually been talking about for many, many years. So you go into a grocery store, you've heard olive oil is healthy and avocado oil, but let's stick with olive oil just for a moment because I have some good knowledge on this one. And you look at it and you think olive oil is olive oil is olive oil. Well, would it surprise you to know that there is a telltale sign that it's crap olive oil? Number one, it should be extra virgin. If it's not extra virgin, it ain't good, okay? So extra virgin is your first prerequisite. The second thing you need to do is look on that label. Look voraciously on that label because it will give you country of origin, okay? If the country of origin doesn't say California, USA, Italy, like one country, then you can probably bet it has multiple countries on the label, okay? So it could have as many as 10, 20 countries on the label. Country of origin, Argentina, Brazil, Australia, Italy, and it just goes down the list. And so what it means is they mixed a hodgepodge of all these different batches from all around the world into this big bin, and then they spit it out into this bottle. Well, when they do that, they're cutting those with soybean oil, canola oil, and other oils that you would not dare ever put in your mouth. So extra virgin olive oil and country of origin should be one country, meaning Italy primarily, or California. There's several countries that have olive oil, but that's a telltale sign about how you know which ones don't have the seed oils in it. If it's extra virgin and it has one country of origin, you're pretty safe on those. They also tend to be more expensive, so you can tell by the price. So the price will be really cheap. Try to avoid buying olive oil in a grocery store unless you are lucky enough to have a grocery store that carries one that has one country of origin, okay? So I know this is a very controversial thing. I've been talking about seed oils being in avocado oil and olive oil for many years. I know, what was it, Dr. Berry, I think, might have been the one, or Vinnie Tortorich. I saw somebody was talking about it just this week. I'm like, oh yeah, that's old news, but I guess people haven't heard about it. It's new to you. But yes, make sure you get, and Kat says Tunisia has the best robust flavor of olive oil. I went to Italy last year and got to visit an olive oil plant. It's really fascinating. And it was really interesting. They were teaching us how you can tell what the quality oils are. And this company was a high quality olive oil. They said, put it in your mouth, swish it around, and then if it burns going down, that's a good quality olive oil. I thought, okay, that's kind of cool. So if they put seed oils in there, it won't burn going down, and that's your telltale sign. Ooh, that's probably not a very good quality. But thank you for that question. Let's see what else we have here. Are you still carnivore? Yeah. I have been carnivore, kind of a keto carnivore now for about 1.5 years, and I love it still. The simplicity of it is what I love the best about it. But yes, because of some financial challenges in 2020, I primarily have been eating eggs a lot lately. I have 19 backyard chickens, so my main source of nutrition lately has been eggs, which fits the carnivore mold, plus the scarcity of finding red meat that doesn't cost $9,000 right now. Is making it more challenging as well to eat red meat. But yes, I am indeed still carnivore. I'm not anal retentive about it. If I want something that's a little bit off of that, then that's fine. But yes, 99% carnivore. How do I approach my non-keto doctor about cholesterol medications and her looking into the alternative? Yeah, it's a tough road when you've got a doctor that, I mean, it depends on how non-keto they are. Are they anti-keto? You might have some trouble. If they're just ambivalent towards keto and don't really know a whole lot about it, that's one thing. I did write a book about this called Cholesterol Clarity, if you want to go check it out. But Cholesterol Clarity, it's on Amazon in hardback, Kindle book, and audible book. But yeah, how do you handle that? I mean, you just have to know going in. Your doctor's clueless about cholesterol. They are stuck on a model where they have standard of care to follow. That standard of care requires them to prescribe you a cholesterol medication if your total cholesterol is 200 and your LDL cholesterol is 100. They are. And if you don't take that drug or take the prescription for the drug, they can get dinged on their file for you not following the standard of care, or them not following the standard of care. So do them a favor. I was on Danielle's, she's on here right now. I was on Danielle's podcast just this week, just talking about this. Take the prescription from them so that they get off the hook with their standard of care when it comes to cholesterol. But then you don't have to fill it. That's your decision as the patient. People think they get that piece of paper, they got to go down to the drugstore and fill it. You don't have to. It's your option that you do it, but you get your doctor off the hook if you grab that prescription. If you don't take the prescription, then you could be labeled a standard of care violator, and then you could be a non-compliant patient. And of course, doesn't mean anything to you, but he could actually fire you as a patient if you're continually non-compliant with what he wants you to do. And again, keep in mind, he has to do that. He's under order. So you could ask him the questions, why am I going on this medication? Or before I go on this medication, let's take a look at a more advanced cholesterol panel. So that's where an NMR lipoprofile, so you can look for the quality of the LDL. You can also ask for a CT heart scan, which would see if there's any actual signs of disease in the chest cavity. Again, all of this information is in my book, Cholesterol Clarity, What the HDL is Wrong with My Numbers. Chapter 10 specifically explains why doctors are incredibly clueless about cholesterol. Next question, how can women build muscle in their 60s? Well, I'm no exercise physiologist, but I do know women that are eating a good amount of protein and the natural fats that come along with that protein and minimizing carbohydrates can easily get stronger. And I think when you're in your 60s and older, the notion that you're gonna bulk up and it ain't gonna happen. I think at that age, what you're trying to do is preserve muscle mass. You're also trying to increase bone density. I just did a whole Jimmy Rants about a new study just yesterday that says combining protein with exercise is the key to keeping your bones strong, your muscles strong. So it's nothing but good things for your body at any age. So I think in combination with kind of a high intensity interval training or resistance training, I'll tell you what's really cool too that's very low impact for women especially. If you're trying to build muscle, there is this thing called slow burn. So it's kind of a slow resistance training. So you kind of take the weight, let's just take an arm curl, for example, and you're just slowly lifting to the very top, and then you're squeezing those muscles, and then you're slowly going down. And if you do that, probably 3 to 4 reps of that really slow lifting at max weight. So try to put as much on there as you can. Obviously make sure you can do a rep, 3 to 4 reps, but put as heavy as you can and go slow. You'd be surprised how much you can fatigue the muscle very quickly, and you can get done with your workout very fast. And so for a woman trying to build muscle, trying to be stronger, trying to do all the things, I think that's a really effective way to do it. All right, so one more. Who are you with in the picture behind you? So behind me, and I'll tilt it a little bit for my Facebookers here. So right there for Facebook, that's who she's talking about. Right there for YouTube, and right there for Instagram. That, you guys, is the famous low-carb ketogenic researcher, Dr. Steve Finney. So Dr. Finney, I met him many moons ago at one of these obesity conferences, got to know him, really fascinating guy, super brilliant, probably knows more in his little pinky finger about nutritional ketosis than all the rest of us in the keto community combined. He's just a wealth of knowledge. He did like the first major ketogenic study with athletes back in the 80s. and he wasn't a keto fan per se back then, but they wanted to put put athletes on keto to see if they could keep up the same performance. And it was a 2-week trial that he was a part of, and so he, at the end of the 2 weeks, their VO2 max and some of the other markers they were looking at, their ability to recover, was all down. And he's like, well, that seems odd, because I've heard a lot about this ketogenic state and how it could be helpful and heal. He convinced the researchers to go 2 more weeks. And over that next 2 weeks, all of those markers came back as strong as they were when they were eating carbs. And that's when he realized there was this adaptation period when it comes to ketosis, that first couple of weeks can be a transition from being a sugar burner to a carb burner, or to a ketone burner. And then once you make the transition, then you're able to come back and have just as much strength and agility and endurance and all that and recovery as you did eating carbs. So anyway, Dr. Steve Finney, that's who that is. And that picture was taken in Australia. He and I both were American speakers doing a tour across Australia. I want to say that was 2016. I think it was 2016 when we did that one. And we were on a panel together. And so, of course, everybody in the audience was asking all these questions to Dr. Finney. Nobody else on the panel got to really say very much, but I held the microphone. It was fun. When you have Steve Finney on a panel of keto people, yeah, you let God talk. So. Thank you for that question, and thank you for all the questions that came in ahead of time. Okay, I'm coming to you guys now, first here on Instagram, then over to Facebook, and finally over to YouTube. Keep your questions coming in. We will get to as many of them as we can. JimmyRants.com is the website. Let's see who's got the first question live. Lots of comments. Big Brother is watching. Oh, over that story that I read a while ago. Okay. No questions. I see a lot of comments. Oh, Danielle's reminding me the episode that I was on of her podcast. Danielle Hamilton is her name. Unlocked the Sugar Shackles. So go look it up over wherever you listen to podcasts. I was episode 39. Thank you, Danielle. Rachel has the first question. I had to get through a lot of people just commenting and nobody asking questions. What is the best oil to season a cast iron skillet with? Out of the short list of bad oils they recommend, I went with an organic cold pressed flaxseed oil. I think flaxseed oil is probably fine. I'm no expert on this, so don't take my recommendation, but I think probably anything that would withstand high heat. And so just, yeah, I think you did well doing flaxseed oil. And I'm sure some of the experts in cooking can definitely help you with that a little bit more. I personally, by the way, cannot use a cast iron skillet because I tend to have a little bit higher iron levels in my blood. And because of that, you get iron from the cast iron skillet. So I have to avoid those. I use a ceramic skillet myself to cook in because of that. So if you have high iron levels, that's a little tip. Don't use a cast iron skillet. But yeah, I think you did well with the flaxseed oil. Good job. Okay, Kat says, to my knowledge, flaxseed oil should not be heated. It's even sold in the refrigerated section of the store. That's interesting. I would think literally any oil that would be good at high heat would work. I mean, try some ghee, try some lard. I'm sure you could season it with any number of the good healthy oils that we use in keto. Holly wants to know, are you doing anything over the 4th of July? So that's tomorrow. No, honestly, I am here by myself. I don't have any family nearby. So yeah, it's gonna be Jimmy and Jimmy alone tomorrow. So yeah, no, I don't have any plans per se. I might fire up the grill and throw a couple of hamburgers on there. But yeah, I know I have a sad life, so. Kat says, lard is never amiss. That's true. That's true. All right, thank you, Instagram. Let me pop over here to my Facebook page. Again, it's Ask Me Anything, you guys, so ask away. This is literally my favorite episode of the whole week. I never know what you're going to ask, and so somebody ask me a funky monkey question. I'll be happy to answer anything. Hey, Facebook, what's going on? Let's see what you guys have to say here. Oh, hello, David Pendergrass. Hadn't talked to you in a while, my brother. The reality is that we probably don't know what the LDL cholesterol should actually be, as the tables were derived after we had started eating sad. And that's true, David. The other thing about LDL and the goals that we have, and even total cholesterol, is they're arbitrary. There's really no telling what a healthy level should be. But even in that arbitrariness, they can look at what a level would be that would put you in a diseased state. Most of the markers, the biomarkers that are measured by your doctor, tend to look at like a 70th percentile or higher as the minimum to determine where you are in a non-disease state versus getting into a disease state. With cholesterol, the total cholesterol, that 200 number they keep bragging about being the golden, if you're 201, you're at great risk for heart disease. If you're 199, you're not. That 200 is the 50th percentile. It's literally the only biomarker in all the markers that your doctor runs. It's the only one that's in that low of a percentile. In other words, they think half of the people get diseased and the other half don't get disease, and some arbitrary number at the 50th percentile. And I'm going, who thought that was a good idea? Well, we know that there's 29 billion reasons why they did that. The statin drugs, that's how they kept peddling them. Now, I've seen that they've shifted the attention away from statin medications, away from cholesterol lowering, and now it's on to inflammation lowering. Somebody also said that they were pushing it on their husband. Somebody just wrote me on Instagram yesterday that they were pushing a statin drug on her husband, and they said, oh, it prevents and reverses the scarring tissue, the scarring that happens in the heart because of his. I was like, yeah, they're just trying to sell you a bill of goods to get you to take that statin. So no bueno. Costco's Kirkland brand olive oil is from Tuscany, a good one. Yes, I have used that one, Berkeley. Thank you for that. Nancy says, how are things going in South Carolina, seeing hard COVID-19 reports on the news? Yeah, it's so funny because when they report on COVID-19, and it's primarily at the beaches, by the way. Myrtle Beach is the one that people are like, ooh, I got COVID-19 going to Myrtle Beach. When they report on it, what they do is they report on cases. Now, cases are interesting. I suppose, you know, somebody's got COVID-19 as a reported case. I'm more interested in, okay, did that person get severe symptoms that they had to be hospitalized? And then those people that got hospitalized, how are they doing? You're not hearing any of those statistics. I'm hearing about this big skyrocketing number of cases, but then like hospitalizations and death rate pretty much staying the same as they were at the lower number of cases. So that's curious to me that if we're talking about a certain percentage of death rate or whatever, that you would think with the boost in cases that would lead to a higher death rate and hospitalizations, but that's not what's happening right now. So I think it's still too early to make any determination about that, but it's certainly curious to me that why are we talking about cases, especially like the Clemson football team, what was it, about 40 or 50 of them had it. And of course, none of them got hospitalized. None of them are on life support and dying. They just got it. And so I kind of hate the fear mongering that's put out there. And yes, South Carolina, Florida, Texas, it's all these southern states that they're just like saying, oh my gosh, look at all the coronavirus. It's just cases. I'm not understanding why they have to be so hype about it. Kira says, I'm an expert cook. Flaxseed oil is best for the cast iron. So there you go. There's your answer. I do hear that flax seeds are estrogenic, and I'm scared to eat a lot of flax. I actually have heard, thank you for that, Kira. I have also been exposed to information that flax seeds, not the oil, but the flax seeds can actually be a hindrance to prostate health as well for men. So I had not heard about the estrogenic. I definitely want to look into that. So thank you for that. Rhonda says, when fasting, at what point do you need to put time between the fasts once you do a 7, 10, etc. days? That's a great question. So I have now capped off, the longest fast I will do now is 7 days. I've done 3 21-day fasts, and the problem with doing a 21-day fast is once you do 21 days, you kind of have to take 3 or 4 or 5 months off before you do another one. Whereas if you fast for 7 days, you can fast again in about a month, like 4 to 6 weeks. And then if you fast another week, you can da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. So I think you get more bang for your buck when you spread them out a little bit with shorter fasts, but more frequently, rather than lots of long fast or less and less long fasts. So let's say you do a 10-day fast. Don't fast again for 3 months. But if you do a 5 to 7 day fast, you can fast again in a couple weeks, 2, 3, 4, or 5 weeks if you want to. So yeah, I like that shorter fasts more frequently rather than longer fasts less frequently. Thank you, Rhonda. All right, thank you guys over on Facebook. Let's see what they have to say over on YouTube. What's up, guys? What time zone am I in? I'm on the East Coast of the United States, so Eastern Standard Time. Got any tips for dating as a keto diehard? A cute girl I just met is in. That's Greg. Well, I'm certainly no love connection dating expert whatsoever. In fact, far from it. So I'm probably the worst person to say. I mean, if you like the girl, who cares how she eats? Now, as long as she's okay with how you eat and you're okay with how she eats, you can make it work. I know plenty of people that they don't eat the same way and they're in the same household, and yeah, so I don't think that's a contraindication. Now, if she's one of those like really radical vegans that will judge you because you're killing animals and da-da-da, okay, it may not work out from an interpersonal relationship, but no, go for it if you like her and you want to try to, you know, make something happen of that. I don't think it's a contraindication to you being able to do anything, but yeah, hopefully it works out for you, man. Jonathan says, great conversation you had with Kelly Hogan. Yep, thank you for that. Do you believe that we will have multiple choice nutritional guidelines this year in 2020? No way. 2020, they have it made up in their mind, you guys, on the 2020 dietary guidelines. It's going to be more of the same. In fact, I've done some Jimmy rants about this. It's actually going to be worse than the same. So what they had in 2015, I want to say they capped out fat intake, saturated fat intake at 15% of your calories. They're going to lower it to below 10 or below. So no, we're regressing. We're not progressing. I still contend that if you want to give people the best chance to be healthy, you have to give them an individualized program when they're looking at their diet. And you can't say, this is the diet for everyone and expect it to work. But if you say, you know what, eat real food, and then within the context of eat real food, here's a plan for keto, here's a plan for vegan vegetarian, here's a plan for Mediterranean, on and on and on. Give people all these options, make them all look good. No bashing of saturated fat, no bashing of this food, that food, good food, bad food, this is gonna kill you, this won't kill you. None of that kind of stuff. If they took the religion out of it and just said, okay, if you want to eat healthy, here are the different options, pick one. Can you imagine if they said, you know, pick one and keto's on that list, and oh yeah, on keto you can have, you know, full fat meats, full fat cheeses. We want you to eat saturated fat because fat's your fuel for your body. We want to limit the carbohydrates, so make sure those whole grains and those refined carbohydrates and sugars are out. Can you imagine if they like really pushed it well? Who would look at that and go, wait, this is healthy? This looks delicious. They would embrace it hard, right? And so, no, but that's not going to happen in the 2020 dietary guidelines. I have been around since the 2005 dietary guidelines. That's the first one after I had my awakening with low carb diets. 2005 dietary guidelines, I was just coming on the scene at that point. I testified before that committee in 2010, and I had high hopes that things would start to change. Same with 2015, and we saw in 2015 some good changes. They announced in 2015 that cholesterol is no longer a nutrient of concern. They'd always said, cut your cholesterol intake, talking about dietary cholesterol. They finally in 2015 says cholesterol is not a nutrient of concern anymore. So that was big. But it seems like we have all these incremental changes and nothing radical like what you're proposing. So no, that won't happen. They're fearful of class action lawsuits. Like, think about it. Our whole lives we have been told to cut your fat, eat more grains, blah, 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 blah. Can you imagine if they did a 180? How many lawsuits there would be? Well, my Uncle Charlie died because of your guidelines and he followed them voraciously and we trusted you. This is why I don't ever change. This is why I tell people, stop listening to government guidelines for your health advice and start listening to yourself and what you're learning from people through podcasts and reading books and all the like. That's what's going to educate you. So sadly, no, not from on high will we have that kind of recommendation, but you yourself can definitely choose what's right for you. Free market principles should apply with nutrition guidelines. I agree. I think it should be apart from the USDA. How do you, where'd it go? Oh, something happened. Sorry, guys. I was sitting there about ready to read a comment. Edith, I think I accidentally deleted your comment. I was trying to read it, and my thumb must have hit something to make it delete. Write it again, and I'll read it again. Sorry, the technology on YouTube to be able to see the comments is so flawed, and it disappears so quickly. So sorry about that. Dr. Berry read a report where the American College of Cardiology reported that good fats do not cause heart disease. Yes, Berkeley, I just did a Jimmy Rants on that just before Dr. Berry did his thing. So yeah, we're all on the same page there. Yeah, it was the American College of Cardiology journal. And yeah, you're right. They did just say that. All right, let's go back over here to Instagram. Peanut oil is suggested by the Wok Company, says Low Carb New Yorker. Yeah, I'm a little suspicious of peanut oil high in omega-6 fats. I'm not really a fan of the omega-6 in peanut oil. Kat confirms that flax seeds do have phytoestrogens in them, which can be a problem for some people. Yes, they can. Kira, when you mentioned about prostate health and flax, do you think the increased testosterone with eating carnivore diet would be an issue? I told my boyfriend to go carnivore, just wondering if that's okay for prostate health. I eat carnivore, and I can tell you, I have a PSA run, which is that prostate blood marker, and it's always excellent. Like, my doctor's like, you're 48 years old, you should be having prostate problems. I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. No, thank you. I was like, okay, but no, I don't. And what carnivore has done in the year and a half I've been on it, along with some other things, some relaxation and de-stressing and trying to do all those things, I have seen my testosterone boost as well. I was pretty low in testosterone last year. I was kind of burnt out before the sabbatical. What was it, at 350, 400? It was pretty darn low. And then I had it run just a few months after that, and it was at 700. So you can get it up pretty quick, the testosterone levels, with a carnivore diet. So that's a good bonus of that. Of course, exercise would also help with that as well. Lots of things that can help. Have you had followers say they weren't getting Facebook notices on the Jimmy Rants? I haven't for a while. Yeah, Berkeley, thank you for that. All the social media is shadow banning a lot of us alternative health people. and especially here on Facebook. Somebody let me know many moons ago that I'd been shadow banned. So those of you that don't know what that means, basically it's like you're on there, but they don't always send out the notifications to your followers that you're live, for example, for the Jimmy Rants. I will tell you, I go live every single day, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. So if you come on my page at 11 a.m. Eastern time, I will almost always be there Monday through Friday. On the weekends, it's spotty. I might throw one up every once in a while on the weekend, and I did one 5 p.m. one this week. But 11 a.m. Eastern time is when this show is. So if you like the show, just know I go live 11 a.m. Eastern time, Monday through Friday. But no, that does not surprise me that you say that because they are engaging in censorship and shadow banning and all the things. And it's unfortunate. It's like, am I sharing information that's really that harmful to people? Like, are we, well, I talk about diet. What are you talking about? Like, it's nothing really outside the norm here, unless they just don't like the kind of diet that I'm promoting. I don't know. Okay, Edith never did write me her comment again. All right, so I didn't see any other new comments come in. I wanted to because some people are like, you know, you should write a book someday. I'm not kidding. Those of you that know I write books, that's funny, right? But I get that every single day. People are like, you should write books or something. Wow, you speak so well. I'm like, you know, I've written 9 books, right? And they're like, what? So I thought it might be educational to show you my 2 self-published books. I also wrote a chapter in a book that was pretty famous, and then I've written 7 books over the past 7 years. So I wanted to show you all of these things. The first couple you probably won't see very much, and you can hunt them down if you want to, but I don't really promote them. But this is my very first book that I ever wrote. It was called Living La Vida Low Carb, and this was back in 2005, so it was the year after I lost my weight. This little cheapo little book, but I had such a passion at that time that I wanted to help people, and I had lost 180 pounds in 2004 on the Atkins diet, and I thought, you know, I want to share what I did. And so sometimes I'll look back through this book, and of course it was about weight loss at the time. It wasn't really about anything other than that. Now, obviously it's morphed into more than that, but at the time it was just about weight loss. But Living La Vida Low Carb was the first book. Then in 2009, I came out with this book called, and it's a thick book, 21 Life Lessons from Living La Vida Low Carb. And this was an Amazon book. So Amazon has this print on demand, which, by the way, this was self-published and this was self-published. A print on demand company called Create Space. And so I created this book on Create Space, kind of a cheap little cover. I did hire a designer to make the cover. I thought that was cool. A nice little beach theme on the back. But what I did was I took a lot of my blog posts at the time and I repurposed them and rewrote them and expanded upon them and made a whole book about it called 21 Life Lessons from Living La Vida Low Carb. This book here sold over 10,000 copies, which is a huge seller for a self-published book, which that was what propelled me to get contacted by a major publisher. That came out 2009. In 2012 is when I got contacted by a major publisher. And I was able to start writing books for a major publisher at that point. But before that happened, in 2010, I wrote the last chapter in The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Living. It's written by Jeff Volek and Steve Finney. So there's Steve Finney again. So they had me write The Patient's Perspective. Chapter 21 of that book, I got to write The Patient's Perspective at the very end of the book. What was funny was, I think they gave me $1,000 for that contribution to their book, which I thought was very generous. They didn't have to give me anything. And then I've been at some conferences and people are like, will you sign your chapter in The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Living? And I'm like, okay, sure. So I've signed many of people's, this page in their book, of that book. But then I was able to start writing books for a living, and pretty much I have done a book a year ever since 2013. So cholesterol clarity came in 2013. What the HDL is wrong with my number is all about cholesterol and what it means in your health. Then the big boy. This is something a lot of people know me for. I'm famous for this book because it was the very first book that ever put keto in the title, and it helped a lot of people on a very basic level understand what ketogenic diets are. Keto Clarity, and so that's that book. Came out in 2014. 2015, I collaborated with, and you may have heard of Maria Emmerich before. Well, her very first major publisher book was this book with me called The Ketogenic Cookbook. And this was the first book of mine that became an international bestseller. So international bestseller, you might hear people say best-selling book, bestseller, international bestseller, New York Times bestseller. So international bestseller is when it hits a bestseller list in another country. Usually that's Canada. If you're an American and it hits the Canadian bestsellers list, you become an international bestseller. So this book hit the Canadian bestsellers list, and it's done very well. So shortly after that, Keto Clarity also became an international bestseller. So I guess people found the Ketogenic Cookbook, and then that got them to go look up Keto Clarity. Then in 2016, I collaborated with Dr. Jason Fung on The Complete Guide to Fasting, and this became my third international best-selling book. This one has hit so many bestsellers lists, it's not even funny. And in fact, I think this book has now outsold any other singular book that I've done. Keto Clarity is right there, but this one here, it just keeps selling. And I think the reason why the fasting book does so well is there's no other book out there that kind of explains fasting in really basic terms like this one does. But fasting also fits any diet modality. So if you're a vegan, fasting works. If you're keto, fasting works. If you're, you pick the diet, fasting can be a part of that. So this book does really, really well. And so, yeah, that was 2016. 2017, I wrote The Keto Cure with Dr. Adam Nally. So that came out, and it talks about keto on a more advanced level of specific diseases and how keto helps with various diseases. And it's got recipes in there by Maria Emmerich as well. But it applies keto to neurodegenerative disease, fatty liver disease, you name the disease. We talk about atherosclerosis. We name how and the mechanism of how keto works to help with all those diseases. So that's The Keto Cure. 2018, I came out with Real Food Keto. This is probably my favorite one from an informational standpoint, because there's so much information in here that even goes beyond keto. It's a lot of the nutritional therapy type of information, which talks about digestion and detoxification and those kinds of things. And I wrote that with my soon-to-be former wife, Christine. So Real Food Keto came out in 2018. And then last year, 2019, I had the much-awaited follow-up book to Keto Clarity, the Keto Clarity Cookbook. This came out last year, and I co-authored it with Heather Russian. And yeah, lots of great, beautiful recipes in there. Really proud of that book. Then I went away on sabbatical for 6 months, came back, was gonna maybe try to write a book later this year, and COVID hit, and that plan's off the table. So those are my books, you guys. Those of you that didn't know I had books, now you know. And yeah, I love writing and communicating, not just through words, spoken words, but also through writing words is kind of fun for me. And I have a lot of ideas for future books that I would like to write, and maybe even shifting gears away from keto. I will tell you, my publisher kept insisting that I keep writing books about keto, because Keto Clarity was kind of the first one. They're like, well, now you're a known author, you need to keep writing keto books. And I'm like, okay, there's more to life than just keto. Can I please move on to other subjects? So we had to ride the keto wave, I suppose. But yeah, that's the skinny on my book writing career. So fasting book is one of a kind. Thank you, Kat. Appreciate that. Do you offer any kind of book bundle? So because Kira, I am the author with a publisher, they own the rights to any kind of like selling bundles per se. So to answer your question, no, I don't offer that because I don't own, I mean, I own the books, they're my books, but they have the rights to sell them. So no, I don't unfortunately have any bundles per se. But yeah, pretty cool, huh? All right, I thought I saw another comment come in. Which do you like better, keto or carnivore? I think it's 6 to 1, half dozen another. I don't think it matters which one you choose. I think, carnivore can be very, very effective. If you combine both, it's even better. Got my lab results back after 3 months on carnivore, and my doctor was amazed. That is so cool, Miss Getchy. Thank you for that. You've never given any bad advice. I can remember you're sane, pleasant, and very amiable with just the right charisma. None of the vitriol that the vegans exude can be found in your content. Oh, thank you for that. Thanks for mentioning CreateSpace. My mom used it before she passed away 5 years ago. Today was her 66th birthday. Oh, well, Edith, I'm sorry for your loss, but honor your mom today. It sounds like you are. I bless her name every day for pulling me away from the carbs. That's so cool. Writing about keto, just slowly migrate into other stuff. We need you now. Well, I'm going to keep writing. I have so many ideas, and of course, I've been infusing it into my work on Jimmy Rants. Not just talking about nutrition. I'm very much into people helping with mindset types of things and just following your heart and your passion for things. I think people try to put you in a box of who they think you are and what they think you should be. And I'm sorry, I just refuse to be put in a box. Jimmy Moore is more than keto. I am, and I always will be. And I make no apologies for that. Like at the end of the day, keto is a part of my life, a big part of my life, but it's not my life. And people want you to kind of be that way. Well, you're only allowed to talk about keto. Says who? Like, this is called Jimmy Rants. It's not Keto Rants. And last time I checked, I am a human being that has all kinds of complex thoughts and ideas. If you only knew all the thoughts that I have floating around in my head literally all the time that I don't say. Yeah, I've been blessed with one of those very active brains that can just constantly think about things. All right, I think I saw one other comment come in here. Oh, 2 more. How often do you fast, says Cassia. It depends. Sometimes during a stressful time like right now, not as much. When it's not stressful with a global pandemic, I probably would fast 5 to 7 days about every other month is about my jam. So thank you for that. Should I pay more attention to my glucose to ketone index or just my ketones? I think at the end of the day, you do what makes you feel good. I know people like the whole GKI thing, and it's a good marker, but at the end of the day, it's just a marker. I don't think either one of these is going to be a be-all, end-all. If you want to test your glucose, try to keep it under 100. You want to test your ketones, just try to have a good level and know how you feel. I think listening to your body and feeling how you feel is far more important than knowing any absolute number on any of these devices. Defend us against the Jillian Michaels of the world and John McDougal's. Share your mighty extroversion with the world. I picture you as King Arthur. Ooh. I am so humbled. Thank you for that. Crystal says, mindset sounds great. Bring it on. My issue is mindset and getting it done. I want to, and I know I need keto in my life. I just, for whatever reason, don't make it happen. Well, there's a lot of reasons for that. I think sometimes circumstances in our lives can psych us out. and keep us from being our very best. So stick around. On Jimmy Rants, I talk a lot about mindset types of things, why we think the way we do, why other people look at you the way they do. It's just, yeah, stick around a while. Thank you for being here, Crystal. When did you see your Instagram following really take off, says Temple? So, interesting question, Temple. Thank you for that. And I'm running out of time, so this will be the last question. So I came to Instagram late. A lot of people were doing Instagram and they were mainly like recipe bloggers. And I'm like, okay, I'm not a recipe blogger. I write about sciencey stuff, translatable, and do podcasting. I didn't do recipes. So I came very late to the game. But when I came on, I had a modicum of following there for a little while, somewhere around 2010, I think is when I got on. And then when I started writing books is when it took off. So each new book, I'd get more and more followers, and like it zoomed up. At one point, I got to almost 40,000 followers, and then about a year and a half ago, a hacker got into my account and totally deleted the account. And I reported it to Instagram 7 times, and they never did anything. So I had to start all over again. Ironically, after they deleted it, I started Jimmy Rants. So Jimmy Rants pretty much started when I had hardly any followers. Now that first day back, when everybody was like, oh my God, he got deleted, I got 1,000 followers like in one day. And I've slowly built it back up. I'm just under 19,000 followers now, which I know it was a big drop off, but I purged a lot of people, I guess, that didn't need to be there anymore. So, but thank you for being here. And thank you for being here today on Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Thank you all for being here today. You can watch this on replay on IGTV as well as YouTube. Type in a keyword Jimmy Rants. You'll find the show, JimmyRants.com. If you like what we do here, click on that Patreon link over at JimmyRants.com, and a donation of any amount will be greatly appreciated. Guys, happy 4th of July weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday. Bye. All right. It was quickly counting down. That's why I was like speeding up my speaking there at the end. I was like, oh crap, I'm running out of time. How close to a lipid test can you fast without elevated cholesterol, says Berkeley. That's an interesting question. I don't think you, like some people, Berkeley, think, okay, I want to manipulate that cholesterol test, so let me fast for days before I go get it. But that actually does the opposite effect, because when you shift to fasting for days, for example, let's even say 48 hours, when you shift and make it that long, what happens is your body stops using glucose and it taps into stored body fat. Well, when that happens, it releases stored body fat and it releases things that will raise your cholesterol. So if you're trying to lower your cholesterol, that's no bueno. The best way to go into a fast for a lipid test is actually to load up on fat in the days leading up to it. And then that way you're in a well-fed state so that there is no release of those fat stores. So when they take the blood, it should be ostensibly, in theory, your lowest cholesterol. It seems so odd to think that way, but when you kind of think it through commonsensically, it makes sense. But yeah, definitely the whole standard 12 hours, I think is probably a good idea. So if you've got an 8 o'clock in the morning blood pool, don't eat past 8 o'clock. I think I saw one other comment over here on YouTube. Your talk on narcissism was so spot on. That's my other obsession. Yeah, I loved that one the other day and applying it to like people in our lives and even like the health experts who think they know best. Narcissism is indeed everywhere. So, all right, guys, let me pop off of here. You guys have a great holiday weekend. Cannot wait to see you again on Monday. So thank you guys for being here. We'll see you then. Bye. What do you think about the snake juice dude? I think his ideas are good. I think his personality leaves a lot to be desired. Man, I don't know why you have to drop so many F-bombs and D-bombs and oh my God bombs, because I guess he's doing that to get attention, but dang, dude, like, after a while, my ears start bleeding with all the cussing, and then he's got foaming at the mouth. He just looks so angry. And I guess because my style is not that, it's kind of a turnoff to me personally. I know people love him. I do not. So I don't get him. I get his diet, and I understand. I think he's probably onto something with what he's doing. So if you can withstand all the cursing, go for it. I think he's got decent ideas to kind of ponder. But man, if you got to circumnavigate that, I'm under enough stress. I don't need to watch somebody that's going to stress me out even more. All right, YouTube. Thanks for watching, you guys. We'll see you Monday. Bye.